I first saw the Cry of Jazz many years ago, but I've often thought about it and was wondering when would be the next time that I had a chance to see it again, because it isn't shown often. And so, I was happy that they showed it here at the center. And there are a few things I wanted to say about it, just to kind of put it in a context that would help you appreciate it even more and think about it even more. And the first thing I thought about pointing out was to think of the film as a kind of a lost movie, and why it's a lost movie. It seems often that in film culture, the movies that are most frequently thought of or talked about are the movies that don't trouble us, are the movies that leave things as they are, movies that support the status quo, so to speak, movies that help us enjoy the world, or enjoy art without thinking about it. And those movies are always promoted, always easily available. The Cry of Jazz is a lost film because that's not what it does. I think it's an intentionally disturbing film, and that's why it's often a lost film, because I hate it when people say they don't go to the movies to think, but that seems to be the way it is for most folks. But it's hard to imagine anybody watching Cry of Jazz and not being able to think, because the film is, if nothing else, a piece of provocation, and a fascinating piece of provocation. And what we see in the story is this jazz club, certain members of the jazz club convening and discussing the thing that they love most in life and are most fascinated by, which seems to also be a thing that disturbs them, and that's African American art. So what they discuss is how this art affects their daily consciousness. And I guess what I would call the lead character in the film is this thin, highly intellectual guy named Alex. He proceeds to tell his guests what it is about jazz that fascinates them, that attracts them, and yet that also disturbs them. And what's really cool about The Cry of Jazz is that it shows the tension and the fractiousness inside Bohemia. Usually with depictions of Bohemia, everything is cool, everything is stoned and high, and but Alex's lecture and the response of his audience, his party sharers to his lecture shows the tension, and that's an amazingly honest thing to see in a movie that investigates Bohemia. That doesn't happen much. I don't think Pull My Daisy is a movie being full of tension. It's just a film of lyrical beauty. When you think about the late 50s, early 60s period, and you think about what Edward O'Bland was responding to, he had to have been responding to the ideas about miscegenation and about integration that were in the air, and also responding to the very significant essay by Norman Mailer, The White Negro. But Edward O'Bland responds to it not as the white intellectual press or the white literary circles have always responded to Norman Mailer's essay. He responds to it in a more aggrieved, in a more sincerely African American, or back in 59 lingo, in a more Negro fashion. And it's like, it seems to me when I watch The Cry of Jazz that everything that Alex says is in some sense a response to the things that Norman Mailer said, where he fetishized and idealized the white romanticism with African American experience. Because as Alex's lecture tells us, almost everything about the African American experience is kind of horrific, and the result is the cry of jazz, which, as Alex says, is the cry of joy and suffering that Negroes make. It's what gives their art meaning.